Come to Remora TC to trade like a shark and not get eaten by one. Let's school together to protect and grow our money. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Tuesday, 18th of November. I'm going to switch things up this week and do only 5 tickers because the data has shown that you all really don't care about most of the tickers in the later half of these videos. So I'm going to go from triple Qs, GDX, Microstrategy, Microsoft, and then Northrop Grumman. Okay, let's get started. We've got triple Qs right here. You can see the overall price action has been to the downside over the past week. The video from last week was published on Tuesday, which is on this small green candle. You see it right here. And you can see that I annotated overhead resistance here at the upper edge of the gap fill as a maximum, perhaps. And you can see that price hasn't even gone that far into the gap fill and began to sell off. So I'm going to remove this as a near-term prediction. And let's revisit where we think price will go next. I always look at volume. Volume down here isn't anything crazy. It's not like the overall market in tech has begun to sell off massively. It hasn't happened yet because the volume is pretty even down here. But you can still see the bearishness that came in the September-October timeframe is over here, and price is beginning to dip down below, an area of support here at 610. The question then is it going to continue to the downside? And I really think the market is poised for that. So right now, with where price is, there will be some overhead resistance here. And we'll make this red. And then we can also look at, let's see, remove this guy up here, this red one. This is no longer in play. Is this upper part of the gap fill resistance? Well, it's actually the underside of the gap fill. Let me grab this. Give me a second here. Delete that. We'll make the underside here, all of this along, excuse me. All of this is going to be resistance as well, which is the underside of the trend line. So we have the 610 zone here as overhead resistance, as well as this one here. Where is support? The next zone of support is down here on this black trend line. So that's a little bit further ways down here. That's about, let's look at this. It's about the 560. Okay. So from where we are now to 560, let's look. 560, that's about 6% move down. So at the moment, this is a no trade. You're kind of in between two zones. This is a 6% move down. And if you were to, you're about a 2.5% up before you hit resistance. The safer play is to take a short at resistance here. So if price were to be pushed up the next couple of days, then this would be resistance here to take a short. But right now, this is not a position. This is not a setup for a long. Triple Q's overall direction is to the downside. I'll continue to annotate it as such with support down here at this black trend line. And you can also see the 200-day down there. So really, it's this area down here. Okay, that's the next zone of support. And then as we look out from a wider time frame, the gaps down here continue to be magnets wanting the price action to get pushed down further. Okay. Move that over. There you go. Let's switch over to GDX. This is the gold miners play. Price is behaving as I predicted last week and the week before, that there is overhead resistance here at this upper part of this trend line. This lower part of the trend line here, the underside of it. And this underside of the trend line remains resistance going forward. So I'm not really changing my annotation. I'm going to keep it this way. Further low prices for gold miners. Now, a lot of people would think, oh, well, with Bitcoin selling off, is this the time to go long for gold? Because gold is a safe haven. So as a lot of the pundits would say, for gold miners and gold in general, as being the safe haven for when tech and Bitcoin prices drop. But I don't often look at that. It's not a direct correlation. Really, it's just a separate market, and we just have to see how price action and momentum come together. So right now, the momentum remains to the downside for GDX based on this over here from the September-October timeframe, hence the shark here. And I should actually extend this over. There you go. Okay, so with this all-time high here, it's actually lower down here. Let's make this a little bit like that. There you go. Okay, so further low prices for GDX, no change in my annotation. I just kind of slide this to the right a little bit. I'll slide this to the right as well. Where is support? You've got a little bit of support over here coming over. Let's see here. Yeah, a little bit. So there may be some support right here. But really overall lower prices for GDX. Switching to the Bitcoin plan MicroStrategy. I got this call completely wrong. I'll admit that. I talked about all this bullishness here and how I put the whales here to say there's likely a accumulation that's going to take place. But then when price broke underneath this trend line, this one here, I said, okay, I acknowledged that price broke down underneath and it was creating further bullishness. Then I said, well, the next zone of support is here at the 240 gap fill area here. And you can see price just busted right. The sellers kept coming in, okay? Not like crazy volume. You can see there's a little bit of a uptick here on this day at 22 million or so. But you see some buyers come back in. All right, so, and I also talked about this in the last video that I've always been hesitant to go long on MicroStrategy, just from a personal psychology standpoint and my own experiences trading MicroStrategy. I've done much better on the short side. So hence I didn't say that I was in this long, and I'm not. Thankfully, I'm not. Now, with the way the price action is now, we need to reassess if the momentum is to the upside. And to me, I don't see it. I see that price continue to go down up here. The bullishness didn't keep price where it needs to be. I think the next move is going to be a short rebound. I'm going to draw a quick line like this. I'll make it 4. What I see happening is price is going to perhaps push back up to this gap fill, and the gap fill will be resistance on both sides. So let's switch this. So what does this mean? I think the next move, right? I'm gonna go like draw this pizza wedge. They'll do something like this. Okay, there will be some sort of flag, as we've often seen, and then some sort of flag. Okay, I'm just kind of freehand drawing it, and what's going to happen is there will be some further downside move. Yeah, maybe something like this. Okay, further downside move. So really lower prices for MicroStrategy and Bitcoin in general. So maybe a week or two of prices moving upward, hitting resistance, and then further selling. Yeah, that's kind of what I see happening. So I'm just going to draw the general direction being downward. Okay. And there's the flag. Actually, let's put the flag back in. Clone this. All right, so something like that. Okay, I just kind of freehand drew the flag, but for the low prices. Over to Microsoft. This one's behaving as expected. I talked about the double tops here. All the momentum changing to the downside, the sharks telling each other to get out. You can see that price, I drew this pizza wedge here. Excuse me. Pizza wedge saying the likely direction is to the downside. If I were to draw this flag here for the wedge, like this, goes kind of like that. Let's clone this, slide it over, grab it. It's always kind of tricky to grab some of these annotations. Yeah, I can't move it. Maybe I can use this mouse. There you go. And then you just stick it like that. Where does it go? Excuse me, the target is down here at 455. In general, lower prices for Microsoft. If you're in it long, is there a bullishness? Like, would you, is there an opportunity to stay in? Well, let's take a look down here. Okay, so there is some bullishness. The bullishness is appearing down here. So let's be consistent. Let's take a look. There is some bullishness, and it appeared based on this low here on November 7th, and then today's lower low on the 18th. So with that, let's just clean this up so we can see it. Is price going to hold? I don't think so, not yet. Bullishness is there, but we'll have to see if price is able to find some support before the change in direction. So likely, it may find support down here at the 200-day. Okay, so I'll put it in green here. So overall direction is to the downside still, with some support down here before going along, okay? And then you might ask, well, are you going to put the whale symbol here to say that, this is the right time for accumulation to start? I'm not going to do that yet. Once the price gets over here, the 200-day, where there's some support, then I'll put the whale in there. All right, let's switch over to the last ticker for today, Northrop Grumman. Let's see here. Zoom out a bit. All right, so where is Northrop? Northrop, long trend downward here, okay, from the all-time high over here. And then now you can see what looks like to be a small breakout. Now I'm going to extend this trend line. Let's see here. Do it like that. Actually, a little bit further down. There. Okay. So one could argue that this is a breakout move here. Okay, because this is a trend line resistance, overhead resistance. Look at the hourly, I'll show you. So on the hourly, okay. So on the hourly, I'm just looking at the behavior of price along this line that I just drew. And then you can see this breakout here, okay? There's the breakout. Yesterday's close right here, Monday's close was dip buyers buying in. Today was a continuation on the open, and then for the rest of the day down here like this. But with this type of price action, we don't see any bullishness appearing on the daily chart down here. What I do see happening is this appears to be just a temporary rebound. So perhaps price will come up, hit the underside of the purple trend line, that will be resistance, and then further selling, overall downward. Overall, the price direction is to the downside. So if you're in it long, take your profits, okay? The 200 days down here as well. 200 days there, I'll make it blue. There's a 200 day. So there may be a small rebound, small bounce here on the 200 day somewhere along this, along the 200 day. But overall, the price direction, overall direction remains to the downside, but with maybe a short-lived few days up to the purple trend line before the selling resumes, okay? There's no change in the momentum. It is to the downside. All right, that's it. Just 5 tickers through that I reviewed today. Please give me a thumbs up. Share the content with your friends and family. And as always, good luck with your trades.